Welcome back. Welcome back to me. I was making sure teenagers behaved. I don't want to say like teenagers, as good as teenagers can behave. Now, awesome kids. I was down in Key West. Key West. It's a great place. Different than the rest of Florida. Liberals, all hell. Rainbow crosswalks and signs telling DeSantis where to stick it. And there's roosters that just wandered the streets. They were the original residents, so they get to hang out. So cock-a-doodle-doo, everybody. Probably just got demonetized for that. Hope you can hear me. I think you can, or you'd be telling me you can't. Great to be back from the Queen City, the Radio City here, Cincinnati. Weather is not bad considering I came back from the 70s. It's a little chilly, but we're doing fine. And it seems I missed a few things while I was gone. I didn't miss them. I'm not really missing them now, am I? For all you Office Space fans. Yeah, it's weird. It's like you take a weekend host from Fox and Friends, whose mom wrote him a long note about how he was a serial abuser of women, and she was just distraught and disgusted by him, who bragged about not washing his hands for 10 years. Who was not allowed to guard Biden's inauguration when he was in the military because he had a Nazi symbol on his chest, and they heard him speak about things like women not being allowed in combat, and came to the conclusion that he was an actual risk to the president of the United States. He's a serial drunk who was thrown out of numerous offices for being hammered, was hammered on air visibly while on Fox, did actually harass women, had a child with one of his producers while he was married, cheated on the first wife with the second wife, who he cheated on with the producer. Am I missing anything in the long list of his brilliant character and clear qualifications? Oh, and as Tammy Duckworth put it way back when, he had never run an organization. I think really that you could have more, that had more people that you could fit into like a Miata. Okay. No experience, but those organizations he ran that were small, they were still missing money, financial impropriety, drunkenness on the job, sexually harassing the women there, and he was fired from both of them. So that's the guy that the entire Republican Party, because I'm going to remind you of some things that our media won't tell you, which is one of the reasons I put the breaking label in here, is because I'm going to give you context, and I'm going to tell you more than they'll tell you, because they're just going to tell you what happened in that signal and not the broader significance of it, some of which we talked about on Tony's show if you were there just now, but there is a lot more to it than just that. There's all the things I just named, all the reasons he was an obvious person to be blackmailed, an obvious person to be too effing dumb to be in the job, a drunk, a lout, a loser, a scumbag, a racist, bigot, idiot. He had no business being allowed in the Pentagon for a tour, much less allowed to run it. And remember, besides Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, every Republican backed down and voted for this guy, showing that they don't exist. I mean, it's supposed to be a separate branch of government, Congress. That's how we set it up. That was one of the separations of power of the many we had. So hopefully, intelligence would reign. But the founders forgot, at a blind spot, as they did on a number of other things, as we know, when it came to the fact that whether they wanted there to be political parties. James Madison said in Federalist Number 10 that they would create factions and they would be terrible, and he was right. Whether they wanted it or not, it was going to happen. And people would do things for stupid partisan reasons to gain in the party, like they're in Mother Russia, right? To rise up in Khrushchev's party, you do what he tells you. And that's what we've got. We've got little fucking dweeby, probably hitting the certain kinds of clubs, let's say, in parts of DuPont Circle, Mike Johnson, who's just the most pipsqueak little wimp in the Senate too, with whoever is actually in control, Mitch McConnell or Thune or whatever, and they won't hold Trump or any of his people to any account. Something just crashed into my door or fell off. That was weird. Should I go check? Maybe I'm being threatened. Hey, look, everybody. The thing they put up on the outside of my door actually fell off. So there you go. That's Blue Amp. That's my Substack, because that's the name of the overall company. and it fell off my door. Alrighty then. I don't know if that's a symbol of something, but in any case, look, there are plenty of obvious things about this. They're on Signal. They're doing it. And again, the media has not covered most of this. That's why I put the breaking thing there, because I'm going to make sure every damn person possible sees this and understands what we're talking about here. First of all, we're talking about people who are illegally planning wars, who are avoiding public records acts. That is the only reason you're on Signal, right? Let's take more than that. We talked about this on Tony's show, and you've got the director of the CIA on there. You've got the National Security Advisor. Oh, what a cute little group. Like Health and Human Services wants on. RFK Jr. wants in there. No. You're not allowed. Only the guys that get to start wars. RFK Jr. only gets to get us killed by telling us not to do things we should do for our own health. And so CIA director, National Security Advisor, Pentagon, head of defense, and JD Vance. 39-year-old, pudgy, dweeby, garden gnome looking loser, most unpopular vice president, if you didn't know this already, in the history of the country. Most unpopular new vice president. His polling is lower than any other ever. Who sat there and tried to lecture Zelensky, who is so much more man than he could ever be. He's a little loser, got chased out of Vermont by people protesting because he was scared. Little wuss. And so, that's who was on this chat. Okay. So they're talking on Signal right away, avoiding public records. The people that went nuts about Hillary Clinton's emails. And by the way, fuck you, New York Times. I don't care what that does to this broadcast, because you made this happen. You reported what Comey said over the front page, so that it was a national security tragedy that she had used a private server for a couple emails that amounted to nothing. And look at where we are 10 years later. If you knew anything, you'd accept that there should be blood all over your hands. You'd walk around with your hands painted red for helping put this guy in office with the cover of the newspaper that day. You're jackals of the lowest order. And then, but there's more. I'll invite Tony in as he's here.
Yo,
hey dude, there's other iterations, if that's the right word, other sort of certainly implications of this that we haven't discussed with Signal. So, okay, they're illegally planning wars on Signal, or coups, or both. All right,
yeah,
and
could
probably that deportation, a lot of that stuff, that was illegal, as we all know, as a judge said it was. Be willing to bet you that was planned on Signal also. How to grab a guy who was a gay barber and throw him out of the country and claim that he was a terrorist or whatever. How to grab somebody who was a professional soccer player who had a tattoo of freaking Real Madrid, one of the most famous and loved teams around the world, and they claim that was a gang tattoo. These are the kinds of things that these idiots are planning on Signal so that it disappears and they're never held to public account. Right away, that should be a scandal of the highest proportions. And if there was a functioning sort of party, that functioned beyond the president of the United States and considered its duty as a separate and co-equal branch, they would right away say, we need hearings and we need to look into the possible impeachment for that. They also would immediately demand Pete Hegseth's resignation, and most likely they would demand the same thing from Ratcliffe and what's the idiot's name, Walls or whatever at National Security, because all of this, right? We're in Iran-Contra territory here. We're in illegal wars in Asia territory here. I mean, that's what we've got. These are the discussions that are being had here. Okay, but and so it's on Signal, and right away that's been so underreported. The fact that they were using Signal, and the fact that if they used Signal this time, they have used it for everything. I promise you. What we're seeing is about a 1/100th of what they're actually doing. Okay, so there's that. Second thing, apparently Donald Trump doesn't know what's going on. I know that'll shock all of you. Where is the media talking about this? Where are they making a bigger deal of this? Because as much as of the fact that, like, I don't know if that's worse or not, because Donald Trump in and of himself is a complete moron who doesn't understand the implications of his action like a child. They're all just basically, if you want to picture them all emotionally and mentally, they're all Elon Musk with his little toy airplane at the table there, while the adults are sitting around and he's sitting like, wow, like, ketamine freaking fried brain. And that's the kind of stupidity here. And that's the kind of like just callow, pathetic, how what amateurs they are, including JD Vance. All right, well, here's the part I wanted to read to you. Also, I will, why I put the breaking thing up there, because people need to see this, and our mainstream media is not going to show it to them, or at least they'll show it, but they won't make a big deal of it, right? Okay, so the Vance account then goes on to make a noteworthy statement concerning that the vice president has not deviated publicly from Trump's position on virtually any issue. And here's the part that you need to hear. I am not sure the president is aware of how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now. So he's not really sure the president is aware of exactly what they're doing, how inconsistent it is. He's not sure the president's quite aware of what the hell is actually going on. And yeah, this guy, sure, not fully bothered that he wouldn't be aware of anything on one level. On another level, he is the president of the United States, and you don't have to go too far back into our history. If you guys want to look up a certain guy, and I bet some of you know of him, named Curtis LeMay, or Bombs Away LeMay. He was the one who would have had us do a preemptive nuclear strike against Cuba during the missile crisis, and none of us would be sitting here right now. Kennedy fired him for that. But if he had been using Signal, maybe he would have been getting in touch with a couple of the right people. This ties into my whole big argument I made last week about the whole Kennedy files thing. Is the thing is for the government to do something really bad, you don't need that many people. You just need a couple of the right people in on it, and they were all on this chain right here. So then this continues. Let me open that. At this point, the previously silent S&M was on there. Yeah, man, they're having some fun. I thought only Mike, like Bolton, was into that stuff back in the day, from what I read. But I guess okay, sorry. So SM joined the conversation. As I heard it, the president was cleared green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. So, what we've got going on here is he's disagreeing and saying, no, the president understands it. He's given a green light and whatever. And now let's go extort Egypt and Europe for what we're going to do. The Europe part might just be part of an alliance, right? So that's part of the NATO alliance. And clearly we've frayed that and destroyed that. And I don't know what they think. They could go tell Europe we expect in return and to get cooperation. But Egypt is really important there because, as you may know, remember, we've never looked into how Egypt just magically gave Donald Trump $1 million. Just a nice little bribe. And no one's ever bothered. Remember that? Yeah, that's going down the memory hole too. And nobody puts that in here. Again, the context our mainstream media will not give you. Right there after the soon we make clear to Egypt and Europe, it should say in parentheticals, or it should say somewhere in the next paragraph, President Trump has been accused of accepting a $1 million bribe from Egypt in the past, and the fact that he has purposely gone out of his way to destroy our relationship with NATO. These are things that are relevant to this conversation, but they don't include. They don't tell you. It's not here. And if you've seen it anywhere else in the comments, jump in and tell me. I'm not going to say that no corporate media covered it. I can't make that claim. I haven't looked at every single one, but the big ones I looked at, nope. Nothing about the implications of the fact they were using Signal and that they've probably used it for everything, and that is unethical and illegal. Nothing about wars planned, deportations planned, coups planned, or anything else. Nothing about the fact of the mention of Egypt and Europe here, especially considering his relationship with Egypt and that relationship and what it is and how he has been bought off by them. Allegedly, because I don't know. I guess we don't do investigations anymore, even though we know Egypt gave him $1 million. I assume that was for something completely above board. And Trump not necessarily knowing what the hell was going on. We've had that claim before from Ronald Reagan. Oh, I don't recall. He probably said about 150 times, when it came to Iran-Contra. And of course he did recall. And so did George H.W. Bush, who, by the way, I think overall was probably, the only even semi not fucked up president of Republican president of the last 40 years, who actually did pass a budget that balanced the budget and raised taxes on rich people, who actually did a couple of decent things, brought a coalition together to repel Iraq, and didn't go into Baghdad because he stuck to the mandate that was put together, which was to kick Iraq out. Yeah, he did a couple decent things along the way. The Americans with Disabilities Act. This wasn't it. He knew what the hell was going on there. He was a former CIA director, but he said he got up to go take a pee while they were talking about it. I'm dead serious. Now, he was old enough because he was like 112, but George H.W. Bush, that was what he said. I was urinating. He said he drank a lot of tea that day. Yeah, I think it was more like Kool-Aid, but okay. Go ahead, Tony. I'm done. I just wanted to make all these points and bring it back to when you have a party that for 50 to 60 years now has illegally colluded with foreign powers, from Nixon's people meeting with the Vietnamese about our hostages, to Reagan's people meeting with the Iranians about our hostages, to all sorts of illegal deals they had with Saddam Hussein until they decided they didn't like him anymore, and to, what we did in Nicaragua, what we did all over the world. And it goes on to the illegal Iraq war and the rest of it, and torture. And I mean, there's so many things that have been done in this realm to not include any of that as context. That's why people, that middle 20% that some of them vote for Trump, do not know the difference between the parties. We don't message it well enough, but it's also because if newspapers every single time gave you that context of Republican perfidy over the last 50 years, evil, and how they've colluded with foreign powers, dictatorial ones, to win power, this would all fit in with that. Especially, we're going to talk to Egypt. So, and not mentioning that, and that is what drives me freaking insane about all this. And that is why I put breaking in the front here, because there are a number of things I know are breaking. They shouldn't be, but these assholes are never going to talk about them.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I think is probably not going to get that is going to get glossed over is the fact that Donald Trump just gets to say, "I had no idea. I didn't know any. What is who's Signal? I take a lot of pictures. Signal. I take a lot of pictures," which Donald Trump absolutely knows that these jackaloons are using Signal to communicate. He's probably encouraging them to use Signal to communicate. I mean, this is right up Donald Trump's alley to make sure that he communicates with people without anyone else knowing. And that's what he believes that Signal is. And that's probably why he's super mad today. And he's probably super mad because these people gave the game away. And now everyone in the country who has a couple brain cells to rub together to manufacture thoughts, logic, and reason.
So non-MAGA.
Right. Would know that this is exactly what the Trump administration is doing. Anything they want to plan that they don't want under FOIA request or, again, subpoena requests, they're communicating in Signal. They're communicating in these encrypted apps because they think it protects them, which clearly it does not protect them from their own stupidity of accidentally putting Jeffrey Goldberg.
And that's another thing. Again, let's play detective a little bit more. If Jeffrey Goldberg ended up on there, that means almost definitively that Jeffrey Goldberg has been contacted in that manner before.
You mean by one of those people in Signal, and correct. Specifically so Mike Waltz, which means Mike Waltz has contacted Jeffrey Goldberg in Signal.
So what I'm telling you is also to get around public records about where they plant stories, lies, garbage, whatever.
They use Signal.
They use Signal to reach out to reporters, is what's clearly, because that's how a reporter accidentally ended up, as we all know, when you've got somebody in your phone and you start typing the first few letters of their name and it pops in there. So that's something else, of course, I've seen nowhere else covered in the media, is clearly the part of the way they're manipulating, not that they have to do that much hard work to do it, corporate media, is by the fact that they're using Signal, so they don't have to worry that how they're doing it. Or, Jeffrey Goldberg may be an honorable reporter. I've no reason to question it. I've never seen that he hasn't been. I think he's been wrong. He was for the Iraq war. I think he was wrong, but I think he had his reasons. I'm not saying he's perfect, okay? But how many of these corporate reporters do they reach out to through Signal and bribe and make ridiculous offers to? We don't know. It disappears in frickin' 12 hours. You see what I'm getting at here? I mean, if you had to put it in a public, so I'm old enough to remember when during the Bush administration, George W. Bush, and I think I told you all, I was paid to be I was paid to be the liberal on Sinclair broadcast and debate the conservatives, which I found fun because they're stupid and you need like 3 of them to even have it be a slight challenge, and still wasn't. But the main conservative I debated was a guy you may remember. He ran Ben Carson's campaign. A few others named Armstrong Williams. Made a lot of money as the black conservative back when that was a unique thing. Now there's like 15 or 20 of them. Candace Owens and all of them were all eating out of that trough. But back but back then,
Fucking
Armstrong
pigs.
was yeah, they are pigs. Armstrong was the only one. Well, it came out, of course, the time that the Bush administration wanted to promote their Leave No Child Behind education plan, and Armstrong Williams had a column at USA Today, and they paid him $220,000 to write good things about Leave No Child Behind, and they busted him for paying off a few other reporters too. But Armstrong's one I remember because I used to debate him. So again, how many of those kinds of gigs do you think are out there? But now they can share them through Signal. The media would ask this question if they cared, but A, some of them are probably guilty of it, and B, some of them probably know people who are guilty of it, and C, the ones who don't even want to get involved and piss anybody off because they probably know some people where they may not know they're guilty of it, but they might be, and they don't even want to take a chance, and they would never. So again, there's so many implications to this that I've seen nowhere in mainstream media, right? Trump not knowing what the hell's going on. The fact that they're using Signal to plan illegal actions. The fact that they probably almost definitively have used it to plan other ones. The fact that they've almost definitively used it to reach out to reporters so that they're not in the public record and maybe offer bribes, threats, who knows? Like, all of this comes into play here. And
well, I think you're right. And I think the automatic assumption is that in anything encrypted, there's suspicion around it, which is not true because the actual government systems that they're supposed to use are encrypted. That's kind of the point. And the end-to-end encryption makes sure that a hacker can't get in and see the communication. Like that's the entire idea of that firewall. It's the entire idea of a SCIF. But they had to lift this information either out of secure locations that they heard this information, saw this information, or were discussing this information. And they lifted it out of those locations outside of OPSEC, which is operations security, which all these people are extensively briefed on. Rather, they just got the job from being a Fox News host to being the Secretary of Defense, or someone like Marco Rubio, who was a U.S. Senator on the Foreign Relations Committee, or Ratcliffe, who was the former DNI, or Tulsi Gabbard, who is an officer in our military, which is kind of weird that we let Russian assets be officers in our military.
But don't kick them out once it's quite clear that they are. I mean,
also you have Mike Waltz, who is the national security advisor. And then he was a former congressman and member of the military. I will say, though, that
by Brandon Woods here, there's a very good point.
Remember, we learned a lot of the January 6th used Signal to organize their attack. Well, and of course they did. They were texting people inside the White House, check your signal, because they didn't want those communications to end up in a FOIA request, like happened with the January 6th Select Committee hearings. They didn't want those text messages to be out in the open. And that's why you would put it on an app like Signal or Snapchat, where those messages get deleted and it's in encryption.
Although Snapchat has supposedly been China has supposedly found their way into Snapchat is always not Snap. Did you say Snapchat? I was thinking WhatsApp. I'm sorry.
Yeah, WhatsApp is the Facebook one.
Snapchat is. And I would. I'm just being an idiot. I didn't hear what you said, but point being, WhatsApp.
I mean, in reality, though, none of this stuff is secure. And I guess the Jeffrey Goldberg being, quote, accidentally put into a chat just lets you know that it's not absolutely secure. Because I actually believe that they actually added him accidentally. That was
I do too.
that was the mistake. That was what they consider the mistake that happened. They do not consider the fact that they were planning airstrikes on signal as the mistake that happened. They see it as the mistake that happened is Jeffrey Goldberg was added. And apparently he was added by Mike Waltz, the national security advisor. And I will say that apparently right now Trump is trying to protect him. My guess is the reason why he's trying to protect his national security advisor is because he had such trouble in his first administration. If you guys remember, the very first thing about the national security advisor, Mike Flynn, at the time was he lied to the FBI. So we're kind of in the same situation here, where Mike Walls is inviting inadvertently reporters into this illegal chat or unethical at a bare minimum. But
here's something else that's important just before you move on, which is, and I know this because, again, I use Signal. You cannot just send a message to somebody on Signal. They have to first accept you when you reach out to them. So for Jeffrey Goldberg,
so when they're in their contacts is what you're saying. So Jeffrey Goldberg had to be in Mike Wall's contacts.
In other words, for Jeffrey Goldberg to even be added to that, it means that he had to have been involved, and someone should ask him either if he accepted it that time for the first time, and said, "Yep, I'll do it," or that was not the first time, but one way or the other, he had to accept it at some point to be allowed in there.
Which is not necessarily nefarious that
it's not
national
at all.
security would reach out, but here's what I'll say.
Is what I'm saying, and find out.
Here's what I'll say is that the person who is easiest to get rid of here and to blame all this on is Mike Walls, and here's the reason why. One, no one knows who the hell he is. He does not have a national profile, nor will, this is probably the biggest his national profile will get. But the other thing too is the national security advisor is not, they don't have to be confirmed. So he is the easiest to give the blame to and fire them,
right?
Because he can be replaced the easiest. A Secretary of State, it's a little more difficult.
Right. He's in a cabinet position, so there's no Senate confirmation.
Right. The CIA director, all these other people that were in this chat are actually confirmed positions. He was the only one that was not confirmed. I just find it kind of funny. He's the only one that doesn't need to be confirmed. All these other people are clearly not qualified because they didn't raise the question of, hey, maybe it's not a good idea that we be planning airstrikes in the Signal chat. It's against OPSEC. That would be great. But he's the only one that's not. Well, I guess JD Vance is he's a confirmed couch connoisseur, apparently. But
he knows a love seat from a sofa.
He knows how to make love to that seat. But
he does.
The point is that I believe that if there is going to be someone who pays the price for this, if there's enough pressure, which I don't know that there will be or won't be, it's Tuesday, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen between now and the weekend. And we know that Donald Trump and MAGA and the Trump regime is going to try to throw as many distractions as they possibly can.
Be ready for something big in the next 24 hours straight.
It's going to be stupid news from now until probably mid next week when another scandal hits Trump or Elon or something goes awry or there's another big decision where the judge says, no, you can't do that because that's unconstitutional. So I'd imagine there's going to be a lot of stupid news, and it's probably going to be like, well, I'm sure someone else's genitalia is responsible for this Signal chat, so let's talk about other people's genitalia for a second. Like, I'm sure that's where we're going with this, is it's trans people's fault at this point somehow.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So, yeah.
And it's DEI, too.
Absolutely.
Which actually, in some ways, it's dumb white guy DEI.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's DUI. It's DUI. With
certainly for HEGSETH, it's DUI.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the fact that JD Vance, and I don't know if you caught, it's probably the best text message in the chain. Did you catch what JD Vance said about Donald Trump in the text chain?
Well, I was reading some of it before about him not knowing or whatever. I don't know. There may have been other stuff.
Well, let me read the quote because I actually believe it's probably it's a good sign that the relationship between JD Vance and Donald Trump is a little strained, and I couldn't imagine why. But JD
No.
Vance,
Considering
JD,
he's literally only there because Peter Thiel demanded it. for
right,
his money.
exactly, and JD Vance almost lost him the election because he has an eye for couches.
Yes.
JD Vance actually put in this chat. This is the quote from the chat. I am not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with his message on Europe right now.
Yep. That's what I read earlier.
The president isn't aware of any of his inconsistencies, you fool. Like, if Donald Trump was aware of his inconsistencies, we would live in a completely different reality.
Of course. I mean, Donald Trump would live in a completely different reality.
Right.
Because if he, I mean, he
Run
probably would
one
just be
where
like,
one where it like consistency and some sort of tethering to the truth and reality mattered. Like,
if he had to be consistent, I don't know that he could leave like an indoor space and just go out and exist in the world.
right,
Considering everything he says is different.
completely inconsistent. I mean, it's not even
Right.
it's not even.
But another interesting point in here, by the way, from JD's part of this is, you know, and of course these guys have. This is again not shocking. They're liars. They lie about everything. Oh yeah, we're going to bring down gas prices. There's a further risk that we see a moderate to severe spike in oil prices if we do this. Yeah, so they're cool with that, and I'm sure
Right.
that would be Joe Biden. It would be Joe Biden, Black Obama, trans. You know,
Did you say
gay.
Black Obama?
Yeah, that's what they think. You know, Black Obama.
Oh, okay. All
Just
right.
because he's black, he's got to be bad. You know, it'd be JD, Black Obama, gay, trans, DEI. You know, whatever else is fault, some combination of things. But that's, I mean, as if they haven't already destroyed people on grocery prices, egg prices, fired workers, just done these huge and already brought gas prices up. They want to spike them that
I
much
got the distraction. I got the distraction, Cliff.
Ooh, what's happening?
Breaking news. Congressman Greg Steube. Do you know this Steube Doo guy? He's
Is he the
he's
one
an
that
idiot. He's the one that
attacked a
brought the
woman or-
guns. He's the one that brought the
on
guns on the Zoom, on the committee Zoom. He's like, look at my gun on the Zoom hearing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Greg Steube, he's from Florida, which makes him even more suspiciously an idiot. GOP is moving to authorize Trump to wage war on cartels through military force. So here we go. So it wasn't genitalia, it was brown people is the distraction, folks. It's going to be brown
I thought
people.
I saw
It's
this
going to be
already in the movie Clear and Present Danger. Are they just now stealing movie plots?
Yeah,
Like they can't come up with their own.
I mean, of course they're like, oh, let's come up with a great distraction. Well, I was up late last night doing coke and watching Netflix, and this movie was on, and it was a great movie. We could do that. Like,
I got another idea how we can defeat them. Let's pick our best boxer and send him over to fight the best Russian boxer.
Yeah, that's a great.
And we'll have him like we'll play all these scenes for people. Where he'll run up hills and you know lift horses with carts and all sorts of crap. You know, and we'll play patriotic music and then we'll win. And Russia will feel like crap.
Yep.
I mean,
that's
I
it.
just.
But Greg
Again,
Steube
these
Doo,
are the dumbest.
Steube Dooby Doo.
If we get through this, I mean, tell me
again, this is the distraction. I already, again, this is breaking. It is a complete distraction that the GOP wants to authorize Trump waging war on cartels, which I don't know if Greg Steube knows this, but he doesn't have a very big majority in the House to really push through a war authorization to go across the border of Mexico to wage war on drug cartels, which, by the way, the only reason why these drug cartels have the weaponry that they have is because of Republicans in this country.
That's exactly right, because of our gun laws. They get all their best.
So they can't wage war. They can't wage war on the cartels. If they wage war on the cartels, the gun manufacturers in this country will lose money. They can't have that. So this is all distraction.
Our soldiers will end up being killed by our own guns. And when body bags start returning, then there will be questions asked as to how the hell that ended up happening and what it was worth to send American soldiers into harm's way from the supposed administrations of isolationists who don't want to go to war, except for with every other country. There's nothing that makes sense, but that's by design. They don't have any real beliefs except corruption and power and, and that kind of stuff. There's no other beliefs. So this is what you do. You sort of float from one stupid idea and one stupid thing to another.
Well, someone points out in the chat very quickly that I thought the promise was no new wars. So now we're going to have a war in Greenland. We're going to have a war in Panama. We're going to have a war in Canada. And we're going to have a war in Mexico. It feels like these are all new places that we were not at war.
Exactly.
That almost feels like it. That
I didn't major in math, but I'm pretty sure that 4 is more than 0.
Right? Yes, I think that is the case. I think that is the case.
It's not the math
these
Trump
are 4
used
new
with his businesses, which is why he went bankrupt 47 times. Right. But if you use basic math, you can come to the conclusion that 4 is more than 0.
If you use the no war math, you probably will bankrupt a casino. That's probably what you would do. Is if you use this no war math that they got going on, you will bankrupt a casino.
Is that where they're going to train the troops in the old, the old abandoned Taj Mahal?
I thought they tore it. Didn't they explode that thing?
Yeah, they did. I wish we had video.
They
of that.
exploded.
There's got to be video somewhere.
Thing. Oh yeah, there's got to be. I forget which one they Trump's buildings they exploded. It might have been one of the
one in Vegas recently.
Yeah,
maybe that was the Taj Mahal out there. There was one in Atlantic City, and there was a Taj Mahal out there. And then somebody drove the fiery Cybertruck into one of them and blew it up.
Oh,
there was that too.
Yeah. Did you hear the news about the Cybertrucks? They're recalling all of them because the panels are flopping off in the wind.
Dude,
doesn't that feel like that's the physical embodiment of our government right now? It's like it's going 70 miles down the highway. It has no clue where the next charging station is, and all the panels are falling off and cracking windshields behind it. And they just keep driving. They don't give a shit.
Can I give you sort of my interpretation of how all of this went? So first of all, you've got these glued on panels. Glued.
Well, like, I don't know where'd they order this glue from? China. This is Chinese glue. It's Chinese glue.
There you go. Veronica got it. Where is she? She knows. It's I mean, and shouldn't we be told? Is it crazy glue? Is it Gorilla Glue? What are we using here? But the panels are glued on and Elmer's. There you go. Elmo's. Nice.
Elmo's glue.
You can apparently just rip a panel off because they come off that easily because that's the kind of glue we're talking about here. So
there's a famous video. There's a famous video on YouTube where a guy is comparing the Cybertruck to like an actual truck, like a Ford F-150, like a real truck, like a truck, like not a fake truck, like a Cybertruck. And there's one point where the guy is like underneath the side mirror, the rearview mirror of the Ford, and he's like lifting it up with his shoulder and showing that the mirror stays there. He does the same thing to the Cybertruck, and it just like crushes the mirror. Like it just it
is the biggest piece of crap. Besides, again,
have you ever seen one up close?
Yes, there's a guy like proudly drove it to the gym that I go to and like loves.
Really?
I'm hoping.
Does he park it out so no one else parks next to it, or does he like park it right up front?
He parks it up close, and and he's all proud of it. I just want to see him and be like, dude,
where's the truck?
Where'd the truck go?
Right. He parked it up front. He parked it up front because he wanted it underneath the cameras because he knew if he parked it out where no one could scratch it, then people would probably spray paint penises on it.
Of course. And you know what else the problem is that when they ran out of glue, they started licking the panels like stamps and then just
just bubble gum, just like double bubble. They're chewing double bubble in the Tesla factory to put the panels.
I know
on
I've overused this, but I don't care. I'm going to use it again. It is clear that some Barry White was playing. 2 dumpsters got in the mood and started humping, and there was a hole in the condom. And that's the only reason why there's a Cybertruck to begin with, because that's the only way that could have been produced.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, I heard that. I mean, that's the beauty of it. It's like one hit after another to Elon Musk. Like he's just a boxer in the corner, just one after another. Did you also hear, besides the panels, it is 17 times more likely to suffer from a, quote, fire incident than a Ford Pinto. Like, who is buying this thing for $100,000? Like, are
and they're
you
blaming it on
insane?
Molotov cocktails. They're like, no, they're catching on fire because of Molotov cocktail. No, they're
I
catching
mean,
on
it comes
fire
with
because of
Molotov
pieces.
cocktails on the inside.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
I guess they're installing the Molotov cocktail cup holder. Remember when cars used to have actual ashtrays in them, like real
I
ashtrays? Do you
do,
remember
definitely. Yeah, I'm old
that?
enough. Sure, man.
Yeah, well, and my truck, it's still old enough that it actually still has an ashtray and a cigarette lighter in it. Not
Holy
just like
crap.
it's got a cigarette lighter in it. You push the thing and it gets hot. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but it kind of makes me want to smoke them sometimes. But
It's okay. You can just pull off like one of the panels
right.
from a Cybertruck and sniff it.
Maybe
and you'll just get completely
just get the
high.
glue. Maybe that's where we went wrong. Honestly, where we went wrong with this whole country is we took cigarette ashtrays out of cars. I remember the old cars, like the old Buicks, they'd have them in the back doors because they were like, oh yeah, someone's definitely going to be smoking in the back seat of this car. And not only do we need to have one ashtray, we need to have two, one on each door. And they usually put them in like the little handle with the metal flip cap, and you can pull them out and empty the ashes. Not hot ashes, but ashes. Maybe that's the problem with this country is we really lost our touch. We really lost that je ne sais quoi when we got rid of these ashtrays in the cars, and now the panels are flying off of them.
I believe
I'm
it.
just saying.
And I want to say something important to all of you.
Yes.
No, this is key because I just went and looked and I'm distressed a little bit. I saw that Tesla is still way the hell down the stock, but it got back up to 280 from about 225, 230 because it crashed so much. I just want to give you all some motivation, okay? I was reading and I said this on, I guess, God, I've been on too many shows today, Tony. I think it was on Stephanie's earlier. I was reading an analysis by financial types who don't like Elon, granted, but I think it was Forbes, a columnist who can't stand Elon, and he was making a point. And the point he made was that we already all know that a lot of his wealth is in Tesla. A lot is tied up in it. And that is how he purchased Twitter, using Tesla shares and their value as collateral. So what I'm trying to tell you all is if we can keep up the just constant attacks on Tesla, the constant shaming of people riding Teslas. I said to all of you, a guy had a really good idea. It does make me feel bad for some people who bought, but I guess they bought Teslas after they knew who Elon was. So maybe I don't feel sorry for them, but rejecting Ubers that are Teslas to drive down the resale price even further. But here's your motivator, okay? I used to be able to say if you just cut it in half, but now it's more than that because it hit 280 today. If you can get it down to about 120 stock price, somewhere around there is what this guy estimated, there will be a margin call. And Elon Musk will be ruined.
Tell everyone what a margin call means, because I don't think a lot of people know what a margin call.
It means when you've bought something and you've used collateral, a certain amount, so that you are not putting.
You mean the stock you own? The stock you own in the company is collateral away. It is owned by some other debt, because that's what collateral is. It's being owned by some other debt.
That is correct. You're explaining it better than me. My apologies. And so it has a certain value that covers what you owe. Well, obviously, if its value goes way down, there's a problem. And what's going to end up happening is if the stock goes low enough, there will be a margin call and he will be required to sell a ton of shares at a crappily low price to raise the funds to make up for the money he's lost. If it hits about 120, he has to do that. And it's looking like he can't do that. So this arrogant, hair-plugged, apartheid-loving, Nepo little bitch will be thrown into potential bankruptcy. And it is not that far away if you think about how far the stock has already come down from where it was. So I'm just telling you, all of you Tesla takedown people, and all of you, with the memes online, and everybody who wants to just keep going at it and keep whatever, like there is an end goal here. You absolutely, if he were just in the same manner as Donald Trump, if Elon Musk were anything like we were told he was, he were a responsible businessman who didn't get himself in way over his head, way over leveraged, did not have massive debt, then we would have a really hard time doing anything to harm him financially. But because he's an effing idiot, because this is him in his natural habitat at a damn dinner table with people, creating fucking paper airplanes. What I'm telling you is he can be destroyed. If the stock gets down low enough,
yeah, because it'll all fall apart. And we actually wrote about this in the Kaufman Chronicle, not to do a shameless plug here, but I might as well
do a shame. We should be doing constant shameless plugs.
We actually did an article in this in the Kaufman Chronicle. The team did. It's called The Musk Meltdown. If you want to go over there and search it, it's called The Musk Meltdown, and it's how Elon's empire is finally crumbling under its own weight, and what it means when it starts to tank. And when the cards,
Cynthia really has 150 here, which is interesting. Okay, so this guy had said 120. I hope you're right. It's at 150. That makes the task even easier. But certainly it falls down. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, Tony. But it falls down to that level.
Yeah, because if they do a margin call on him, the cards fall not just for Tesla, because that pretty much means Tesla is over. And the reason why is because he would have to sell so many shares that the stock would continue to just plummet to the bottom.
Because he owns so many, and already they've dumped 100 million in shares, like board members and others. They will dump
his own brother.
Yeah. They will dump further shares to escape that. So it'll go into a death spiral. And then
because they want to save their wealth or what will be left of it. And then and once the
I talked about this, WW, how it is Tesla is up today, and that's why I was saying I was disappointed in that we need to be bringing it back down. It still is only at 180, which, considering at one point it was over 460, whatever the hell it was, it's still way down from its high point. But its low point, it had gotten down to, or did I say no, 280, not 180? It's down
280. It's like 281 right now.
Right. It'd fallen to 225. So it definitely has rebounded a bit. And after a huge sell-off like that, it's going to happen. So what we need to do is keep taking the sucker down into the hundreds, and you will see this guy freak out like you've never seen somebody freak out before.
Well, and the thing that gets me is that he has so much collateral against this debt. And it's not just his ego of Tesla going kaput, which will destroy him mentally. But the fact that stock can get down to 150, and that's where the margin call is, that's insane to me. That he could lose, and he's lost a lot. Just in
he loses a ton of wealth, which affects him emotionally, as you said, which makes him, war.
Well, because he wants to be the first trillionaire. He wants to be the first trillionaire. This is his personality trait right now.
Right. Politics, war, these things are all largely based on psychology. And if you can take somebody, some more Sun Tzu for all of you, you can take him out of his little safe place where he's playing with his airplanes. He will freak out. He will say more stupid and over the top stuff. He will behave more erratically. And here's the thing. It gets down. I promise you, if it even drops like that below 200, they'll already, what was his name? Was it Ross Gerber, who's the biggest stockholder in Tesla, was calling for him to be fired this past week and saying that he has to move on.
What is he doing? I mean, honestly, he, outside of the whole, Heiling Hitler and Doge thing and all that. I mean, what is it possibly a good thing for Tesla as a company to want to keep him as the CEO and the face of it? Why would they want to do that? I mean, if they want
his numbers are terrible. He's not paying any attention to the actual thing.
He's not doing anything.
Right. So that's the thing is they have a massive shareholder lawsuit on their hands at some point. There already were some that did, but this guy Gerber is already pissed as hell and owns a ton of shares. There will be a number of other people like that. And rich people, as we talk about here, aren't used to losing money and don't like it very much. But there will be a lot of others in a class action suit,
especially losing money over someone's mouth. This isn't like a business decision gone awry. This isn't like they invested in something or there was like internal corruption or something that helped bring the company down. This is Elon Musk being on Twitter, which he owns, which they should have fired him when that happened. They should have said, look, you can either be the CEO and the head of Twitter, or Tesla. You cannot do both.
Well, and you already are of what? SpaceX and like Neuralink.
Right.
You can't be the CEO of 5 companies. I'm sorry. I don't care even if you don't sleep and you're a loser like Elon with no friends. So you spend all your time. Nobody can be a successful CEO of 5 major companies. They can't. So, I mean, he should have been fired then. But you're right. Even if they kept him and they're like, well, maybe he'll create good PR. Maybe, especially when he was making those initial statements. Oh, we're going to make sure that Twitter's apolitical, all the lies he told and whatever. The minute he got into bed with Trump, the minute he started doing all that, I mean, it's bad enough in the world of business when you pick a side, you're risking offending people. But when you pick the opposite side of the types of people who actually buy your car,
right?
You literally
right.
spit
That's
in
insane.
the face and insult, call them names.
And your stock, by the way, because it's because the stock
and all this stuff. Right.
The stock is almost just as important, if not more important, than the cars. And the reason why is because Tesla is a solar company. That's what everyone fails to recognize, is they are a solar company who manufactures cars. It would be like Chevrolet trying to sell you solar panels. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's like wiping before you poop. But he has an ego tied. Well, he has an ego tied to the car battery. And because he wanted to develop the car battery and he got this idea in his head, he's going to have self-driving cars because he wants robots. That's where they started this idea. They started this nonsense and got off the actual mission of the company, which was renewable energy. They lost that mission completely. And the reason why is because Elon Musk came in, purchased his foundership of it. He's not an actual founder. He purchased his foundership of it and destroyed it. He likes
buying other people's ideas with apartheid.
It's just the same way he's destroying Twitter. It's the same way he's destroying Trump. And, I couldn't be happier for Donald Trump that he allowed Elon Musk to buy him and destroy him. And that's part of this. Honestly, if Elon Musk is such a good tech support for the administration, don't you think he would have came up with something better than the Signal app for them to plan war strikes on? I don't know.
Can I say something quickly here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because Capable Glover here said the Tesla board is his people. Yes, you're correct. But what you're not understanding here is that his people are the billionaire types of people who will stab each other in the back at a moment's notice if they're about to get screwed.
Even if they're family, by the way.
They have, and I've sat on nonprofit boards, and it is the same exact thing. They have a fiduciary duty. They sign documents. They can be sued, as I could have been on certain
personally.
Yes, I could have been sued personally on certain nonprofit boards if we had mishandled funds. If I knew about it, and I knew that I saw somebody who was a public agent of the company, could be communications director, could be CEO, like out there making insane statements, hurting the value, and I did not step up and do something about it, I could be held responsible for that. And what I'm trying to say here is, especially in a publicly held company like this, when people are losing their money because the board will not get rid of this guy, it is a matter of time until his supposed best friends, forget they know him, pull a Donald Trump and say, I barely knew that guy. Who? My son Eric with the big gums? I barely knew him. It is a matter of time until they say, in their own self-preservation, because they do not want to go bankrupt too. They will toss his ass overboard when the calls get loud enough, and they're just stupid that they've waited this long, because they're going to get sued too.
Well, the other thing too is they want to serve. They want to serve on some other boards as well. These boardroom people. That's what they do with their lives. These
professional corporate board sitters who make like $1 million
that's what they are.
A year.
That's what they are. They're corporate boardroom sitters. And when you stand aside and let a company crash into the earth because Elon Musk is such a big personality online, you will never serve on a board again. And that is not what they want to do. They definitely want their cushy little board seats, so that way they can earn gazillions of dollars and do absolutely nothing.
Here's another little nice sort of tidbit for you is with most of these corporate boards, you cannot sit on one of them if you've declared bankruptcy. So for any of these guys, if they worry they're going to be dragged into that, they're done with corporate boards, for the future, most likely. Now, I'm sure there's some exceptions to that, but certainly I've read law about bank boards will not let you. And so there's all these other things going on here. You have to understand that if Elon, if the stock falls enough and if the sales fall enough, the knives will come out for him. And I don't know.
Is that the knives that he balances on his finger, or?
Yes, the
Okay,
ones that
just
he
making
bounces
sure.
his finger instead of acting like, you know, an adult at a table. He
Obviously, he was hopped up on something, right? Like that wasn't.
well, I mean, but I think that's the sort of de facto
That
him
was
every
clearly
day.
a drug-fueled party trick, right?
Yes, I assume he was high. He certainly looked like it. But again, like
When is he
that's
not? Is there a time when he's not? I don't know.
when he's sleeping, maybe, and I'd say 50% of the time only. Then
And so
only when it wears off.
when he wakes up, he's not high.
Right, there may be a
How
moment where he
long
has to
before he
face reality.
takes a hit? You think?
The thing is that his brain's so fried at this point. Does he know? Like, does
I
he
don't
know
know.
when he's?
I don't know.
All I know is this thing tanks if this happens and the stock, you know, again, what was going to happen always when there was any brand value left, and I know there shouldn't be with Tesla, but there still is that when it fell to 225, whatever, some people were saying, okay, well, this is going to go up eventually. This is a great deal. I'm going to get in, and they're going to buy. And that's what you're seeing, right? You're seeing people that saw value because the thing fell so far and said, I'm getting in. But what I'm saying to you is if the pressure keeps up enough and he keeps doing crazy stuff which I think is pretty predictable at this point, and he's tied to Trump and all that sort of stuff. If the Tesla takedown movements, if everybody here who goes to Twitter, who goes to Blue Sky, who goes to Threads, who goes to Substack, who goes to YouTube, who goes to Snapchat, and name 50 other things, just constantly attacks Musk's integrity, constantly attacks the Tesla, the company, constantly, all these sorts of things. It will get down low enough that for its self-preservation, and that will be the board, he will be fired. They'll all be sued. And somebody in there said how, Ford still lasted after he died. He, of course, he's still going to, I don't think Tesla, Tesla's too much of a brand. I don't think it's going to disappear. I just think
The cars will.
somebody else at the helm.
But the cars will. If you look at Tesla, even like in its international markets, like he's losing his international markets rapidly, and the reason why is because number one, international countries really don't want to do business with America, and the reason why is pretty clearly obvious because they're using trade and tariffs as warfare against allies and palling up with adversaries like Russia. But when you consider the fact that the American market is about to be flooded in the next 5-10 years with actual marketable EVs, which means the panels aren't flying off because the double bubble is dried out, that they're sticking the panels to the car to. When Chevrolet, when Honda, when Toyota, when Ford, Dodge, Daimler Chrysler, when all these Hyundai, when all these American car manufacturers, and I know some of these are not American companies, but they have manufacturers here in this country. When they gear up for these EVs and the EV market gets really competitive, which it is poised to do in the next 5 or 10 years, this is why the Biden administration leaned into EVs because they saw this coming. Elon Musk and his little Tesla cars are going to cease to exist. It's kind of like the grand old DeLorean in the movie Back to the Future. It had its concept, it had its day, but it was a piece of junk.
Well, it easily could be taken over depending upon where it ends up by another company. I mean, that could happen.
Well,
too, right?
the one reason why he has such a hard time getting into the car markets. Why he's had such
I think there's multiple reasons, but
right, but the one reason why is a lot of these states have blocked him from having dealerships inside their states. And the reason why is the big car manufacturers in this country control a lot of what dealerships go into what states.
Okay, you're talking about domestically.
Domestically, and they did not want his EVs his EV dealerships to pop up until they had a chance to compete. So they kind of boxed him out for a while until they kind of got their EV technology where they can make it marketable.
It was for the wrong reasons originally. I mean, as awful as Elon was, or a lot of the reason why they were boxing him out is because they wanted to keep selling their gas guzzlers while developing, as you said, EV technology. And they didn't want Tesla to come in and have there be sort of a swarm of people, particularly with some of the subsidies and other things, tax breaks to like heading away from their cars. So there's no doubt.
Right, so they were like stalling to come to market with their own EVs.
Right. But the thing is, they have now. And so with him acting like this, there's actual real competition out there.
Right.
There's a number of them. So in this month or the last, whatever it is, I think quarter, where like these things have crashed in every way crashing as possible. But the sales numbers have crashed. The EV market has exploded. EVs have gone up. I think it's Chevy. There are a number of them, Chrysler, whatever, that went up double digits. The only one that went down and way down in double digits in the United States was Tesla. And that is as easy a control group experiment as you can do. That it is because of Elon, his reputation, and people hating him. It is not that the EV market's drying up. The EV market is only growing. It's that people have other options to go to now, and they're going there. And there's more competition. There's also more competition in China, which is killing him too.
Right. Well, and that's where his entry point is for the Gigafactory, the battery factory. But let me make one more point, because also Elon Musk owns a company called Starlink. And a lot of our international friends have decided that Starlink is not for them. And the reason why it's not for them is because they cannot trust Elon, nor can they trust the United States of America, which is kind of sad.
And why can they not trust him? What did he do with it?
Well, again, we're not sure what he's done with it. Maybe that's the point.
Well, he claimed he turned it off. He even took credit for it, that he shut it down when Ukraine was using it.
Yes.
So, I mean, we literally have an example of him admitting to shutting it down, and he probably got Ukrainian soldiers killed.
Right, that he's he's using personal grudges and to run his companies. But there are competitors now out there for Starlink, which Starlink is the news story of Tesla that we're talking about now. So that's the other component of this, is that Elon Musk, because he is so reliant on tax dollars, he is such a welfare queen. He cannot operate. He cannot operate without welfare and without nepotism. That's the only thing he relies on to keep himself afloat. And when all that fades away, he can't compete. And that's really the point. So I wouldn't get too excited about having a Tesla robot in your house anytime soon, because I actually don't think that. I actually believe that Tesla will sell itself off in parts.
Well, I just put the first Neuralink in my brain, so I had a lot of faith.
There's another business venture that's DOA too.
All right, look, there's the guy that broke into the Treasury Department and wants to steal your Social Security number and whatever. I think I'm going to let him into my brain.
These are the same people that like, don't take the vaccine. I'm going to
like
demonetize. There's
people
a chip
like
in there.
Judd Apatow could not think of comedy scripts like more.
Oh no. It would take massive amounts of drugs like peyote or something to come up with these kind of plot lines. Like this is 2-week long drug retreats type timelines is what this.
And somebody here, I missed it. I'm sorry. Who was it? Had that, and I didn't know this specifically. Oh, it's Cynthia, that Taiwan will have their own Starlink this year. So there you go. They've got a version of it coming.
I think the one that's the most competitive is the French one. And I forget what it's called, but I think that's the most because so
there are going to be a couple of those. So Starlink, again, that survived on subsidies and all the bullshit that Elon sold about genius, Tony Stark, whatever, which he's literally built over 2 decades.
I'm the only Tony around here.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry. He's built over. It's amazing though to me, from somebody who did a lot of PR, that he built all of this over 2 decades and in about 3 years has absolutely taken a flamethrower to it, to any positive bit of his reputation, to any likable bit of his brand, to anything. So that now people that can go to Starlink's, competitors, Tesla's competitors, obviously a lot of people already have gone to Twitter's competitors and left Twitter, and so that place began its own somewhat slow death spiral that it's still in, and you still hear of people leaving all the time who have big names and are artist types, the types of creatives that you want on there, and is becoming more Nazified. That thing's going to end up collapsing. It may take a little bit, but that to that point, or it'll just become Truth Social. It'll be worth nothing. I mean,
well, to the point of Twitter, he actually has has even him doing Doge and the stupid government thing where he's trying to, pretend like it's efficiency, but it's really corruption that he wants to be efficient. Even though he's tweeting it all over Twitter, he's really kind of abandoned Twitter too. Because Twitter was supposed to be, there's a Chinese app where it's all the banking app. You have your credit cards on there. You do all your banking.
That's what he wanted to
You do all your
trans.
Yeah. He's forgotten all of that already with Twitter. Like all of that is faded off into the distance.
We were going to bank through him. And it's like, again,
right.
I will bank through you like I will ride on your rocket in your stupid car or trust your freaking crappy modules in my brain. All right.
Right.
I will not trust you on anything, anywhere, anytime. And that's the thing, is that either through his right-wing behavior that's offended liberals, or just by showing himself to be a fucking ketamine-drenched lunatic, he's lost people that are apolitical who are like, that guy is nuts, and I'm not trusting any of his products. And then on top of that, you get these studies coming out, Cybertruck recalls and fire accidents. And all. I mean, by the time you're done, SpaceX is crashing every time. I mean, all you have to do is see all that. And you're just, a combination of his lax paying attention to his companies, the fact that his companies were always Potemkin villages that were fake and built on more fluff than anything, and that he's shown who he really is, has destroyed all of this. And so some of these things will survive. Some of them will get taken over by other people, but give it like 2 years. I mean, Twitter I want to say, spent $44 billion on Twitter. I'll just say it was only worth 32 at the time. Oh, he's a brilliant businessman. I love it. I say that a guy that he only paid an extra 25% for a product. He's brilliant. And now the most recent valuation was between 7 and 8 billion. Think about that for a second. That what he paid, he's lost 5/6 of its value, and even if you want to just take what it was actually worth, he's found a way to lose 75% of its value.
It's the reason why Twitter sold it to him for $44 billion, because it wasn't worth anywhere near that. That's why they
rejoiced. They all knew they were wealthy as hell and dumb.
Well, I mean, back to the margin call, to do a full circle loop here, and I've got to go, so I'm going to wrap it up here for me. But to loop back around, it's the reason why Twitter had to sell is because Elon offered them such a ridiculous price that it would have been outside their fiduciary responsibility not to consider the sale and not to approve the sale. And the reason why is because Twitter wasn't worth anywhere near that kind of money. And they were doing their shareholders a favor by selling at that point for way higher than what it was worth. But I want to go back to you saying something about ketamine drenched. What did you say? Ketamine drenched.
I don't know. I come up with insults on the fly.
But I want to say, listen, you try to balance cutlery at Mar-a-Lago when you're hopped up on that much ketamine. Okay, you try it, Cliff. Let's see you balance a fork on your finger when you've got that much ketamine,
especially while you're trying to dodge the bed bugs that are crawling all over the place. I mean, it's not easy.
It's not easy. That's a difficult task to be drenched in ketamine, balancing forks on your finger, dodging the bed bugs at Mar-a-Lago. While Trump's yapping in your ear. Cliff Schechter, I'm glad I came on today. This was fun.
Yeah, this was a conversation meant for you. I didn't know we were going to get to Elon, but even the Donald Trump one was one that I very much wanted to have with you, because there's so many different, sort of ways it affects everything. And you have the combination of intelligence and wit. I do say that no joking, in all seriousness. So I knew you could analyze it, but that you weren't going to be boring and we could have fun with it and make jokes about it. So
yeah, I'm the opposite of NPR. I'm not boring. So I've never been accused in my life. At least I don't remember of being boring. So
I went on. Last thing I'll say is I went on NPR a couple times, and one of them debating JD Vance, by the way, who back then said we should hold our noses and vote for Hillary as a never Trumper. Just to give you,
I agree with JD.
I made that public. I gave that to Mediaite, and they blew it up back in the day, like a year ago, whenever the hell that was. But in any case, but yeah, it was only one show. The host liked to have me on for some reason, so I went on maybe a half dozen times in my life. And I mean, it was just doing the NPR voice is the most annoying thing in the world. So, as I said, It
as
is
I
a
was
very
saying.
difficult situation. And
Yes.
if it were to get worse, one doesn't know where it could end up. And you're
Pete
just
Hegseth,
like, I
it's
can't do this shit. So I would
just
just start speaking like, me. I'd be like, yeah, what's up, bro? I didn't give a damn. I'm like,
they're like,
"I'm
whoa. The other people on the other side of the
I
speaker are
know.
going to freak out.
They're like,
You're
oh,
acting
we
like a
got some
normal
trash. We
human
got some
being.
white trash on here. Get them out. Get them out.
That's why I don't get invited on the
Before,
shows like that.
before we
'Cause
bring the brandy snifters around, get them out of here.
right. Oh, I am white trash, and I'm proud of it, Cliff Schechter, and everyone else. If you're white trash, join me in being proud of it too. So,
Yes, I'm with you.
yeah,
I
it's
maybe
good.
was bred to not be trash, but I found my way there.
Good. We'll give you an honorary.
It's much more
membership.
fun, dude. It's
An
much more
honorary membership to the
Thank you.
Club
I
of White
appreciate
Trash. So, all right,
You
everyone.
have a good rest of your day, Tony.
Yep, we'll see you. Thanks.
Take care, bud. So, guys, should we conduct the rest of this thing via Signal? Yeah, let's do that. Nobody will know what's going on. I'll only accidentally include in there everybody. So, how goes it for all of you? I haven't seen you since last Tuesday. What's going on? I was going to talk about Trump. Seems like we covered that son of a bitch. We're going to talk about Elon Musk. I thought Trump was a pretty big topic to cover. How you all feeling about Chuck Schumer these days? I'm interested in where people are because there have been a number of more calls for him to step down as leader. I fully agree with that analysis. I believe we need a leader built to fight. Again, as I've used from The Godfather before, he's a peacetime consigliere. We need a wartime consigliere right now. And it's not even that I think Schumer is necessarily a bad guy. He's not built for this. All right, look at that. I was going to have to get to that next, folks. Sheldon Hughes gifted a Cliff's Edge membership. That was the first super chat we've got, and I got to tell you, we need some super chats and super stickers for this. There are going to be some changing things going on. Well, let's see first. Stephen Manning. Let's see this. Chuck Schumer needs to be forced out. The fact that he's still trying to fight like it's still the 80s or 90s shows how out of date he really is. That is correct. Not using modern messaging technology. I mean, just the fact Tony brought up before, like, why aren't we saying whatever it was every day? Every day. There should be press conferences. There should be short ads. Like, hell, you could make an ad for free and put it up on YouTube and TikTok and a few of the other sort of video platforms and have it go viral. You need to pay for it. I just, we need a fighter. I'm good with Tammy Duckworth. I'm good with Chris Murphy. Sadly, I used to say, and I guess this just shows us we can never be fully sure. I used to say I would be happy with Brian Schatz, and then he voted for the CR. And I don't care what his reasoning was. I can't support him anymore for that position because that was a ridiculous vote, and I've never heard him explain it. Thank you. Oh, we've got some super chats coming in. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. Lefty Gramps Dem leadership is a deer in the headlights. I'll read the super chats in a second. You are correct. We'll throw this up here. Thank you, Jim. Definitely check out the Patreon if you want to support the show, support what I'm doing. Yeah, look, and the thing is I've been yelling about this for like 20 years now. I haven't thought we fought hard enough. I mean, people need to remember that Mitch McConnell not allowing a vote on a Supreme Court justice was 2015. That was before Trump. Mitch McConnell institutionalizing the filibuster as something that wasn't just something to break in case of emergency, but every vote now needed 60, which is against the Constitution, was something he did when he became majority leader. I think that was or Republican leader, which I believe was 2006. I mean, they've been breaking rules, laws, the Constitution for a long time now, and we just kept looking away, using a bunch of vandals and when they complained about riots, whatever, the Brooks Brothers riots at Dade County, they shut down the vote counting for Al Gore. Matt Schlapp, by the way, who's now, I think, does he get a free set of steak knives if he sexually harasses a dozen men or something? His wife is still pretending that's a real marriage. That's good for you guys. You keep that going. he was there among the group that shut down by threatening violence against people. And I mean, it's gotten worse and worse over the years because any group like that, right? The good people that are left leave. Your Chafies and your Snows and the people that Jeffords and who are decent leave, and then they're replaced by horrid people, and that just continues more and more. But they've been doing this forever. We needed leaders who could fight honestly 10 years ago and didn't get them, which is why we're here now. But enough, like absolutely enough. And I don't, with the very few exceptions, there are a few exceptions to this rule. If you're complete, I can't trust you to support the Democratic Party. If you are a bigot in some kind of way, then no, I will not support you for Democratic leader, even if you're a fighter. But other than those things, I have no more. I don't care. Left of me to the right of me. I'm a liberal, so I may be somewhere in the middle of the Democratic Party. I don't know, but there's no more litmus tests. The litmus test is, well, there is. You fight. If you fight, AOC to the left of me, she's a fighter. Her, Jasmine, I'd take either of them in the House in a second. Not to mention, I could name a half dozen others: Eric Swalwell, Ted Lieu, people like that. If you fight, I'm with you. I don't want any more. Ossoff, as you put in there, actually, Indie Girl, I wrote my last Substack on Ossoff, which I'm going to throw in here. And I'm hoping that you guys will all go read when the show is over, and that you'll go subscribe, because Ossoff was the lead story here, all about how he ripped into Trump and all of them, and he is from a swing state. So whenever you hear that garbage about, oh, well, that person's from a swing state, they can't do it. Yeah, that's not true. He's from Georgia, and he still realizes the calculation is you turn out your base and you win that 15 to 20% of people that are in the middle, that don't really know a lot, that don't hear a lot, that the media doesn't inform, by showing strength. 2 of the 10 that voted for that piece of trash tend to retire. Jim Williams. I know Gary Peters is one of them from Michigan. Who was the other one? I don't remember who the other one was. WW, member for 5 months. Thank you. I don't remember who the second one was who was going to retire, but we've got, would you say, Cliff, recovering from what sounds like the same type of flu you had a couple of weeks ago? Figured I'd give you the super chat. Well, thank you, Mass 1959. That is very kind of you. And if you gave me the super chat already, I will call it out. So Paul Young, you're putting here, Kat Abu is running for Congress in Illinois. Is she the one? She was the one at Media Matters. If she was, then she's an anti-Semite, and I will not be supporting her. That is one of my litmus tests. She said some horrific things during after the October attack, and no, they weren't anti-Israel. They delved into anti-Semitic, and I'm not going to debate folks here. If you want to support her, you can. I'm not telling you what to do. And quite frankly, if she were the only choice, even the stuff she said against a terrible Republican, I still would support her as much as I don't. Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Go back to that period of time, because I used to love her. I thought she was great when she was taking on Republicans, and then the thing happened, and there were people that were anti-Israel, that were anti-Netanyahu, and then there were people who delved into flat out anti-Semitism, and she did. So no, not for me. That is one of my litmus tests. As I said before, like Rashida Tlaib, I would never support for leader of the party. I wouldn't care if she's the best communicator in the world. She's a flat out anti-Semite who wouldn't even vote to condemn Hamas. You don't vote to condemn Hamas, just get out of my face. I wouldn't support her. I'd have a hard time supporting her against a Republican. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't vote to condemn Hamas. I know what happened that day. I lost somebody, which I don't like talking about and I don't want to get into, but I lost somebody in that battle. And I mean, sorry. And I'm somebody, again, I don't know why I feel like I have to always say this, but I feel like I have to always say this. I'm somebody who thinks Bibi Netanyahu, who's a war criminal, is their Trump, should be at The Hague. So no, I'm not a blind supporter of everything Israel does. Nothing, not even close. Yes, Indie Girl, Netanyahu's a dictator. He's their Trump. He's Trump, he's Putin, he's Erdogan. He refused to get out of power, even though he's a criminal. Israel didn't know 10/7 was going to happen. VD Hertz, Netanyahu and his people knew it was going to happen, not the innocent people who didn't deserve what happened to them. Again, if we equate Netanyahu and the leadership with the people of Israel, then equate all of us with Trump and say that we should all get whatever Trump gets. That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise, you separate women who are sexually assaulted on camera and shot in the head while these guys perform the act. Yeah, that's different. Netanyahu did know. I believe that. Yes. He's horrific. He's like Trump. Not defending him. I didn't want to get into all that anyhow. I just saw you put up Kat Abu twice, and you put it up earlier, and so I was going to say something. She's right. And Paul, I'm reading your thing. She says we need new leadership. She's absolutely right. So I don't know what seat she's running for or whatever. And again, I will, even if it comes down to it, even with the things she said, to me, the Republican Party is such a threat right now that if she's a nominee, I would support her over the Republican. But, you know, if I have a choice in a primary, I'm going to support the person who doesn't think that because of who I am and my background, I deserve less in society. VD Hertz, Israelis voted for Bibi. We voted for Trump. I'm not sure where you're going with this. And they voted for him over and over again. We voted for Trump twice and almost voted for Trump in 2020. I mean, you can't find a difference. So if you want to keep saying it, keep saying it. But you are as responsible for Trump as any individual Israeli is for Netanyahu. I don't want to have this conversation. We've talked about this before, and I let myself get drawn into it again. Let's get back to Schumer. Who do people want to see there instead of Schumer? I'm going to ignore other comments, not out of disrespect, but I don't want to get into any more about Israel and all of that. So we're going to move on. Markey is an interesting one. Lefty Rams. He's tough too. Well, AOC, Indie Girl, that she'd be in the House. So yes, I would support her for House leader. But I'm asking for the Senate. Mark Kelly would be an excellent leader. He would. Only thing Mark Kelly did that disappointed me, and I know that this isn't something that I hold as much against him because I think it was a matter of judgment. He chose to vote for a few of Trump's nominees, and they were the couple that normally you could say were sort of qualified, at least not unqualified to be there. I guess, but I think there should have been a blanket vote against every single one of them because they weren't being nominated by a legitimate president. So that's my problem. But as a leader, I think Mark Kelly is extraordinary. The only other problem with Mark Kelly too, and I will say though, is that he is reticent to go on the attack. We need somebody who will rip the other side to shreds and not think twice about it. And out of the senators who did not vote for that stupid CR, which takes Brian Schatz out of it, to me, I've got Chris Murphy and I've got Tammy Duckworth left. Elizabeth Warren too. I don't think Elizabeth Warren is as effective at it as either Chris Murphy or Tammy Duckworth. My personal opinion. But Elizabeth Warren goes after it. Patty Murray, she gets pretty damn tough. Sheldon Whitehouse too. I do worry about the age thing though with both Patty Murray and Sheldon Whitehouse. Murphy is younger, next generation. Tammy Duckworth, I think, is a little younger. I like and more diverse, obviously. Tammy Duckworth, like I like sort of someone who's ferocious and also showing that like we're turning the page on our old leadership. That's my feeling on that. But I like the ideas people are kicking out here. Swalwell also in the House, Indian Girl, and yes, I would support him for Democratic leader in the House in a second. There's about 3 or 4 of them. I know I'll miss some. I think off the top of my head, I would say Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Eric Swalwell, and Dan Goldman are the 4. No, and Jamie Raskin are the 5 that I've seen that just obliterate the other side without apology. Warnock. Yeah, I think Warnock would be great. I could see Warnock doing it. Patton Oswalt. Sure. I mean, as you know, rules say the speaker does not have to actually be in the House. So if we wanted to have some fun with Republicans, and we should, if there's an actual fair election or an election in 2026, take back the House easily with all the seats they'll have to defend and how unpopular Trump will be. I mean, we easily could just be like, all right, who do we want to be? Bill Burr is going to be Speaker of the House, which I would vote for in a second, by the way. Just let him go off on all of them. It'd be outstanding. Yeah, again, I think the issue with Bernie, and people are saying it here, is I think Bernie, I don't think that wound has ever been healed since 2016. And I think also, like the folks I mentioned, like Patty Murray and Sheldon Whitehouse, he's too old as far as I'm concerned. I want next generation. I think we need to send next generation message that we're turning the page from everything from the past, and we're stepping into this next generation. I mean, I'm sorry, we really are at a point now, like, Kamala Harris would have been the first Gen X president. Like, we still haven't even had somebody from Gen X, much less a millennial or Gen Z in leadership. Like, I mean, we're backed up generations because the boomers, no offense to boomers in here, but the boomers would not stop running for office. I really is time. I think the right mixture of, it may even be the first half of Xers just get skipped over because they're too old at this point, and whatever, they're in their 60s. But I think for the right combination of youth and leadership, and I'm saying youth as it pertains to Congress, which is a different beast than youth in normal life. I want somebody between their late 30s and their mid 50s, which means I want mid to late Xer down to sort of a millennial. I think should be the people in leadership, with a few exceptions. Rosie O'Donnell, Dragons. Well, she's in Ireland. She left the country. Maybe she could do it from there. She's funny as hell. And you know what? I know she rubs some people the wrong way, but we interviewed her once on my old podcast. I really enjoyed talking to Rosie O'Donnell. I wish we could get her on here again. Cory Booker, I could see as a great choice, ET. That would be a good one. All right. So to continue from here, I want to let you guys know house cleaning stuff, what's going on. I am in a position where they are going to promote, if I do a live stream on Thursdays at Substack, it will get a promotion and it will grow a lot bigger. I have to do it only over there. So we are going to be transitioning the Thursday live stream to Substack. You all, I hope, will still join. You really only have to look at Lefty Gramps. He knows, he's there. You only have to have a Substack account. That's all you have to do to be able to go there and do it. You don't have to post on Substack. You don't have to follow anybody other than me or Mead and Tony, whatever on there. You can. So what I'm saying is that's where the Thursday one is going to happen. I'm not sure it's going to, I have a talk with them tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to happen as soon as this week, but you'll see as we're getting more people and it's really blowing up that it's going to be pretty freaking cool. And that is going to provide me with the resources, hopefully, to do a lot more. So the only thing I'm figuring out is how that's going to affect Tuesday and Wednesday. I absolutely will still be here. Both days. It may lead, depending on how long the Thursday one has to be, to one of them being a shorter one, or maybe one of the 2 days I end up going on, only for like an hour. I don't know. We'll see. Yes, not only is Jim Acosta on Substack, but here's a great thing you should know, Indie Girl. I've been invited on his show. And so we are working out right now the details. That's what I'm sort of trying to tell you guys, is because I went in and built such a big presence because we have over 600,000 subscribers, because we're one of the top 10 Substacks. It opens so many more doors than are opened here on YouTube. Here on YouTube, is 114,000 subscribers great? Yeah, right? It is. And Mr. Beast has like 50 million, right? Or pick one of some other random whatever. Like YouTube doesn't care about my existence, and that's fine. Why would they? But I can't leverage YouTube for the things where I can at Substack, where someone like Jim Acosta, who's there where it's crazy. And I'm sure he'll pass me, but I have twice as many subscribers as he does right now somehow, which isn't right. He should have more than me, and he will. And so he reached out to me to come on. Like, these are the opportunities you guys will all get if you come with me over there. And I've brought up before, David Schuster is going to be a regular presence, an Emmy Award winner, and just an awesome guy. We got New York Times PitchBot over there as part of our operation. We're going to have a Wednesday, a Wednesday letter we sent out last week that will go out for paid subscribers. We'll have one or two other guest columns and videos created for people on other days that will be for folks. The chats that we have, group chats, are going to be for paid subscribers, but there's going to be a lot of stuff. The Monday and Friday broad letters are for everybody. The live stream is for everybody. So, it'll be a good mixture. I need to find the best mixture between getting you guys as much stuff as possible, but also I have to bring up the revenue coming in. It is. Thank you for that. Yes. PitchBot is the dude, and he's awesome. And we're going to have that. There'll be one or two of those we'll put out in our free stuff, and that'll be one of our paid things. And I've got a couple other people that you guys know from Twitter or Blue Sky or other places that I'm also talking to about joining the gang. So we can really make a difference there. Again, we're a top 10 Substack. That means like we've got clout there. We reach a ton of people there. Like, our message resonates in a way it can't on YouTube. And so what you should know is I will keep doing this definitively. As of right now, I think I'm going to do a longer one. I'll continue to do a longer one on Wednesday. What may end up happening if I have to do a really long one on Thursday is the Tuesday one may become an hour-long one here or something like that. I will keep you updated. But if you go over there, you will get so much content for free. And again, we have one of the cheapest Substacks. We are $5 a month for everything. So I'm going to go ahead and encourage you all right now. A couple of you, however many of you, if you go over there right now and you sign up, you can actually get it cheaper than $5 a month. If you buy for the year, you get it for $50. Which for all of you math majors comes out to about $4 a month, I think. Yeah, there you go. That's all you need to see. That's $1.25 a week. Look at it that way. And you will get everything. And we're going to have so much more content over there because we can. Because again, Substack gives you that ability, video and written content and everything, but also because we know the people over there. They like us because we provide them with, that 12-hour live stream I did, still astonishes me. Broke their record. We more than doubled their live stream record. And we had Heather Cox Richardson on, and we had Mehdi Hassan on, and we had, my friend Phil Collins, who's the guitarist for Def Leppard, playing Pour Some Sugar on Me on there. And we had Bill Corbett of Mystery Science Theater 3000. And we had Hal Sparks and Brian Karam and, you name it. And if I start this Thursday on there, which I will know tomorrow and let you know, then I would be doing, I've got John Fugelsang, because he was supposed to go on the original one, the 12-hour one, and he left his phone at a performance he was doing in Philadelphia. So he will likely be one of the guests to join us. Yeah. So it'll be pretty sweet. So I think this is that final place, where we can go and like get everything that we need and that you guys want. And in fact, right now, I'll put this in here. You go there right now. You can click on it and stay here. Keep your window open here. Go there, sign up. $50 for the year. Done. You get everything. And I promise you, there's more like funny stuff coming and more. There are a couple other celebrities I haven't leveraged yet who are friends who are going to add stuff to it. Like, it's going to be cool. I agree with you, Mark, on Mehdi's book on winning arguments. It is pretty awesome. See, Mehdi is one of the ones they talk about who I disagreed with to a certain degree on Israel and did not delve into anti-Semitism. I don't want to get back into that, but I want to tell you that, again, to me, you can critique the hell out of what happened in the Middle East and critique the hell out of Israel and still be fair about it. And I thought Mehdi was. So there you go. What else we got going on? So please go to as Veronica Tatis kindly put it, go over to blueamp.co. Get yourself, at the very least, go and subscribe. You will appreciate it. But if a couple of you can go do a paid subscription, then I think you'll be very happy. What else do we got going on? Any other interesting stories? Let's see if anything's popped up while we've been doing this, because stuff always does. Well, we still got a lot about the texting. Even Republicans are ripping it as a huge screw up. Womp womp. Trump press secretary, oh my God, it's like Levitt. She announced, like, I was up on the stage and it was really cool. And like, there were no chats discussed in Signal that had anything to do with war. There was like no war chats. She's a moron. And of course, she will lie to your face and know that she's lying and know that you know that she's lying and know that you know that she knows that she's lying and still lie to your face. Sort of impressive, really. Ooh, Greenlander's hilarious anti-MAGA hat goes viral. We got to see what this hat looks like because lots of people want it. Well, that's a terrible headline. HuffPost. Make America go away. Make America go away. Look at that. Where are we? Let's get back here. All right. Make America go away. So it is now 3:40. All right. You ready for this, all of you? You ready for the race? The first two of you who rush over and get yourself a $50 subscription at Substack will get a Make America Go Away hat. All you have to do is go over there, sign up, send an image of your new paid subscription and send it here. And if you do that, the first two of you that do that will get a Make America Go Away hat sent to you because that's the kind of guy I am. On YouTube, on Twitch, anybody, you're all in this. First two. Okay. Veronica, you're going to have to help me out with that because I'm sure I'll screw it up. Veronica is what keeps me honest. And when I make promises like this, she makes sure they happen. So first two, you send it to me. You hit the time mark before everybody else. And life's been good to you so far. What else do we have going on in this crazy world of ours? That maybe we may be almost at that point, boys and girls. Oh, Jeffrey Goldberg says he's considering releasing more of the Signal chat as they deny it. Trump people deny it. Well, that's going to harm. That one is going to leave a mark, folks. Scott Jennings being a putz in CNN again. Somebody else yelled at him. Okay, that's nothing unusual. And of course, J.D. Vance criticizing Trump and leaked war plans. We know that. That should be fun. Sure, the love will continue there. All right, guys. I think that we're about at that point. And you know what that means. It means, all right, we're at we've gotten 7 super chats or super stickers. So I only need 3 more. So who's coming with me? You know how this goes. Well, ET's in there right away. News item: Florida lawmakers. You know what? I need to show them all to you. I have not done that, and everybody deserves credit for being awesome. So here's ET. News item: Florida lawmakers may loosen child labor laws. Jesus Christ. Should have figured that, right? Because they weren't going to be able to hire regular folks at anything close to the level they're able to hire undocumented workers, which was going to cause massive inflation and screw them. So, of course, child labor. Why didn't I think of that? Unbelievable sons of bitches. Even if they loosen them, they won't be able to make up for the undocumented immigrants they've lost. But thank you for the super chat. David Robinson, excuse me. Little something for independent media. Thanks, Cliff. Thank you. Honestly, because that's what I try to remind people. This is what makes independent media work. It's the support from people that care enough about democracy. We got WW, member for 5 months. I read that before. That counts. Thank you so much at YouTube. Mass 1959, $4.99. And you told me before you're doing that to be a kind folk and support independent media, I believe, too. Thank you. ET, again. YT took down Tony's show today, stating that video unavailable. Really? He took his video contains content from SME who has blocked it on copyright grounds. Again, why we're heading to Substack, guys. It isn't just some conspiracy when places don't censor you. No, not the BS right-wing censoring, like where stuff that should be censored, like disinformation and hate speech. They won't censor us from showing you the truth at Substack. They provide the ability for us to do that. They support it. They promote it. We're not just like a decimal point they don't care about because they've got their big non-political creators with 20 million, subscribers and all that. And they don't care about us. They've shown it. They don't answer our inquiries. They don't help us. Again, I still think this is an important platform, an important megaphone. So I will be here absolutely on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and I will be putting up all sorts of other videos here, but it can't be the base for what I'm doing. When I don't trust them. So it has to be one of the places that I am at. What else do we have? JD Christie, my friend, $4.99 super sticker. Thank you. Sheldon Hughes, again, another one. $5 super chat sticker. And you also gifted 1 month to somebody. Man, Sheldon, you are on fire. And that's usual for you. So guess what, guys? We're almost there. 9. I just need one more. It could be a 99-cent super sticker. Anything like that. Just join Substack. Don't make me sorry. WW, I will not make you sorry. I told you, you don't have to follow anybody but me. You can come to the live streams, and I'm glad you joined. You can avoid, and I don't think you will be sorry. I think as Lefty Grams told you, you'll find other people you like there and you'll start following them, and you may choose to never add any content of your own, and you don't have to. Of course, Sheldon Hughes jumps in for the Sheldon. We're going to think of a special reward to give you. I think Sheldon, no matter what you do, you'll be getting if you send your address to CS Implement Action, you will be getting a Make America Go Away hat just because you're you. And have supported. I don't believe I've ever had a show where you have not at least twice, if not 4 or 5 times, supported me, which is incredible. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that because, again, it allows me to do this. So I think that is about it for today, guys. We covered the important stuff. We had fun, right? Just a bunch of friends trying to protect democracy best they can. Have a great rest of your day. Have a awesome evening. We will be back tomorrow. There are no trips for teenagers this week, so I will be here, and I'm sure, sadly, we'll have another insane Trump story to talk about. So thanks, guys. Seriously, thanks for being here. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for being supportive. And as the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell.